The Atlanta Braves take Game 1 against the Detroit Tigers thanks to outstanding efforts by Martin Perez and Didier Fuentes out of the pen. Welcome back to Didier. So, Martin Perez, that's where I want to start this recap. He was excellent tonight. Gave you 5 innings of 2-hit baseball. One of them was the double down the line right after Jonathan jinxed him. He didn't know the stat line, so isn't he have a no-hitter going? I don't know. I'll check. And then before I even could, the TV over there doubled on the left field line. So, but Perez, he did have 4 walks tonight. That is the part that you would want Martin Perez to improve upon. However, he absolutely just got outs when he needed to when there were runners on second and third. I think he had runners on second and third with 1 out and then 2 outs, and managed to get a strikeout both times when he needed it. And just a really good night for Martin Perez, who continues to impress and is continuing to make a case to stay in this rotation, even as guys like Reynaldo Lopez and Didier Fuentes are being relegated to the bullpen. So, fantastic night for Martin Perez. I thought all of his pitches were working for him pretty well, but I thought that changeup tonight, like I mentioned, he had a strikeout that he left 84 right in the middle of the zone, but it backed up and just managed to evade a barrel. And Martin Perez, 2-1 on the season now, 2.22 ERA, and he has been probably the biggest surprise for Atlanta in a year where there have been a lot of good surprises. So, very, very impressed with what I've seen out of Martin Perez, and I think he should start every 5th day until he gives you a reason not to. And that does include whenever Spencer Strider and eventually, Hurston Waldrop and Spencer Schwellenbach come back. I think he has made a case to start for this team, and then whenever those guys come back, if he is still pitching as well as he is now, you have a discussion of does he move to the bullpen or what. But for now, he is your 5th starter. He has been fantastic for Atlanta this season. The offense tonight did a really good job of just getting runners on. A leadoff double for Ronald Acuna. He gets to third, but no further in the first inning. But his second time up, Acuna hits his second double of the night against Casey Mize. I think he just hit Casey Mize's number. Casey had to leave early in this game. He actually had some arm trouble, it looked like. So I really hope that for his sake and the Tigers that that was not nearly as big of a scare as it looked like on the TV. And, speaking of injuries for the Tigers, Javi Baez took a nasty tumble at first base in the middle of this game. So, hope both of those guys are okay. Baez had to be stretchered off, but really hate to see that considering, Javi Baez is a guy I grew up watching as a baseball fan when he was with the Cubs. And he had an all-star caliber year last year. He was an all-star in center field for the Detroit Tigers. So, and beyond that, you just don't want to see anyone get hurt on a baseball field or any sort of athletic endeavor. But it does happen. So, the offense, like I mentioned, Acuna doubled. Nothing comes of it in the first inning, but Ronald Acuna doubles on a line drive in the third inning off of Casey Mize, and Yastrzemski, who had reached before, because Yastrzemski had a 2-hit night tonight, so he seems to be turning the corner for Atlanta. He was able to score from second, and then Matt Olson hit a ball high into center field, and that was able to score Acuna from third. Baldwin got him over both times. A very rare night where Baldwin did not reach. So, very interesting night for Drake Baldwin, who didn't perform very well. Austin Riley didn't perform very well. But guys like Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr., Michael Harris even, Ozzie Albies, and, Yastrzemski, Kyle Farmer came into this game. Dubon had a hit. So guys were able to pick him up. And that is what has worked really well for Atlanta so far in this season. Like I mentioned, Casey Mize had to leave the game in the third inning, but both of those runs are credited to him. In the seventh inning, the Braves piled back on And this time, again, Yastrzemski, he singled. Mauricio Dubon was on second, and he comes all the way around to score 3-0. That's a very important run because, as we mentioned, well, we'll mention in a little bit, the Tigers did manage to score 2 in the 9th inning. So, but in the 8th inning again, Ozzie Albies with his 6th homer of the season, right-handed Ozzie Albies. So that's a very important distinction to make. Matt Olson was on first, and Ozzie hit it into the visiting bullpen. So a really good night for the Atlanta Braves offense. They score 5, and that was more than enough to get the job done, even after Aaron Bummer allowed a 2-run shot to Winsell Perez in the 9th inning. So I think I want to talk about Didier Fuentes, who tonight gave you 2 innings of no-hit baseball. Gave up the 1 walk, only the 1 strikeout. But other than that, I thought he looked really good. A lot of soft contact for Didier. And he is up right now because Dylan Lee is on paternity leave. So right now you actually only have 2 lefties in your bullpen. That is Jose Suarez and Aaron Bummer. I think that's why Aaron Bummer got the call tonight to go in the 9th inning. But I do think that the Braves probably would have used him either way, with it being a 5-run game. Don't want to use up any of your major relievers, especially when you're down 2 of them. So, but Didier got some action tonight, even when it was only a 2-run ball game. So the Braves trust him in situations with decently high leverage, as long as he is starting with a clean slate, which is, I think, very big. I talked about it on my podcast that I do, and hopefully that should be out before this Tiger series is over, that the Braves have some decisions to make on who gets to stay on this lineup and in this bullpen and rotation. Jose Suarez is going to get mentioned a lot, but his FIP is really good. So underlying numbers, you kind of tend to default to in a small sample size. Carlos Carrasco, probably going to be packing his bags. I mean, I think people forget that he's even on this team right now. And then Joel Payamps, I think he was an interesting experiment the Braves have ran, but nothing there tells you that he has anything left in the tank to give the Braves this season. So whenever Dylan Lee and Raisel Iglesias return, I think that Carlos Carrasco and then Joel Payamps will probably be the first 2 to go, and then you make the decision between Didier Fuentes and Jose Suarez. And I think you'll see a lot of both of them before Strider is back later this week. Or Raisel Iglesias actually would be the next guy back. So Didier coming out of the pen, I think that is probably the best place for him this season. I made the comparison of Max Fried, his first season, came out of the bullpen. And it allowed him to get a lot of experience working through jams. It allowed him to just develop as a pitcher and not as much of a thrower while he was in the major leagues. It allowed him to develop his stuff and allowed him to sequence better. And then the next year when he became a starting pitcher, he was way better for it. I think Didier Fuentes should be in the bullpen, has the ability to give you some length, but also, like he did tonight, 2 innings of work, but you can go in and put him against a 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6 in anybody's order, and you feel confident that he can get outs for you. So Didier out of this bullpen, I think, is a really good weapon to have, and I think he's better, at least at the moment, than what you've seen out of Jose Suarez or Joel Payamps. So I would hope he sticks around even once Raisel Iglesias, Dylan Lee, and Spencer Strider are back, which should all be in about a week's time. So it's a very good problem that Atlanta has right now, where they have just too many guys, too many starting pitchers that are talented enough to be on this team. Acuna had a 2-hit night tonight. Like I mentioned, he had 2 doubles, 1 down the left field line and I think 1 into the center field gap. So hopefully he's beginning to turn around. Like I said, both of those were against Casey Mize, who I don't think he has a lot of career numbers against, but Casey Mize is if I remember correctly, a left or a right-handed pitcher. So righty. Acuna is good there. And then he got the brunt of all the bullpen matchups tonight. So not really worried about it. Just turn it into a sustained, like start to get 2 hits a night or get some power behind those swings. He's getting on base. That's not the issue. The issue with Acuna right now is he's just not hitting for any power. So that makes a lot of his numbers feel deflated, despite him, having about a hit a game. He had a really long on base streak. I can't remember if it's still going or if that was broken up Sunday night. But I think Acuna is doing well, and I think he is due to just begin to hammer homers. As soon as he figures out the launch angle, he's hitting the ball hard. The balls will start to fly out for him. It's just he's got to figure out the launch angle, but right now he's not hitting poorly enough that you want to really mess with him. You want him to figure it out on his own. So we look forward to tomorrow's matchup, which I said the youngin versus the Cy Young. The pitching lineup for tomorrow. 1, Tarik Skubal, back-to-back Cy Young winner in the American League, and he will face the Braves' young starter, J.R. Ritchie. So probably the best left-hander in baseball. And Tarik Skubal, I don't know, Garrett Crochet is pretty good as well. So Skubal, Crochet, and Sale probably your top 3 lefties in baseball. Tarik so far this year, he was a little bit off to start the season, but he has got a 3-2 record, 2.72 ERA, 38 strikeouts, and he will face J.R. Ritchie, who after only 1 big league appearance is 1-0 with a record of 1-0, 2.57 ERA, and 7 strikeouts. Ritchie, 7 innings last week. Obviously, those are the only big league innings he's ever thrown. So far this season, 36 and a third innings pitched for Skubal, 38 strikeouts in that time. He is better than his career whip at this point, under 1 walks and hits per innings pitched. And Skubal is Skubal. He's coming off a 6 innings of 4 earned run baseball, 5 strikeouts, 7 hits given up against the Brewers, 10 strikeouts against Boston before that, 7 strikeouts, and 1 earned run against Miami. So 1 earned run against Boston, 1 earned run against Miami, 2 hits, 4 hits for Boston and Miami in those. But the last time he was kind of hit around the yard a little bit by the Milwaukee Brewers. So we'll see what this Braves lineup could do to him. But until then, I am very excited. That's the game I have circled in a really just an excellent pitching matchup series between the Braves and the Tigers. But Skubal and Ritchie, a guy who has won 2 Cy Youngs, going for his 3rd in a row, and a guy that you hope, has the capability to win a Cy Young at some point in his career in J.R. Ritchie. But I think that just about wraps it up. And thank you so much for watching. If you got this far and you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and subscribe if you truly did enjoy it, because it helps me out more than you could ever know. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. I really hope to make a recap on it, but with work it gets a little bit difficult, some of these games. But until then, I'm Cayden. Peace out. A-Town down. And chop on.